What's happening, guys, and welcome to the new studio. We're not quite finished yet, but I wanted to get this one out for you. And today we're going to be speaking about Europe. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the impact that Brexit is going to have on Amazon Europe, especially for those of you wanting to do FBA in Europe. Perhaps you're selling in the US and you're thinking of expanding out to Europe. Well, how should you do that, keeping Brexit in mind? Perhaps you're already selling in Europe, or you're looking to start selling and start with the European marketplaces. Then what does Brexit mean for you? So that's what we're going to be covering today. Now, Amazon Europe contains a lot of marketplaces. You've got Germany, the UK, France, Italy, Spain. You've got the Netherlands, Poland, Sweden. And with its vast reach, it's easy to see why sellers want to expand sales to Europe. But with Brexit, the changes that brings, should you be expanding to Europe? And that's what we're going to be going over today. And specifically what I want to cover in this order is, what is the EU? What is the European Union, and how has that helped sellers so far? What are the advantages of the EU? The second thing we're going to cover is, what is Brexit and exactly how that's going to impact FBA sellers. And thirdly, what's the best way to respond to Brexit and begin selling in Europe after these changes? So number one, what is the EU and how does that help FBA sellers? So on this map, you can see the Amazon marketplaces that were part of the European Union. Some of these still are part of the European Union, but this is the EU in terms of Amazon FBA. And the countries who are a part of the EU enjoy free trade across all of these borders. And this makes selling and shipping stuff across those borders really easy. But this also gave rise to two programs that Amazon offers to those selling in Europe. So one is the EFN, which stands for the European Fulfilment Network. And this allows FBA sellers to store all their inventory in one marketplace. That's often what they call their home marketplace, their home Amazon market. But from there, they actually list their product or cross-list their product also on the other EU marketplaces. So although their home marketplace may be the UK, they're also listing in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, etc. And then what this allows the seller to do is store all their inventory at their home market, but to ship orders out to customers all around the EU. So let's say, for example, an FBA seller stores all their inventory in the UK, and that's their home market. Well, they can also cross-list onto Germany and Italy and Spain. And if a German customer buys their product, and they can buy it from Amazon Germany or Amazon UK, by the way, the German customer can buy from either. But if that German customer buys the product, then Amazon UK is going to ship out that inventory from the UK fulfillment center across the border to that German customer. And the same applies for the other European countries where that seller chooses to list. So that's the first program that they offer, and you can see how the EU, how the European Union and the countries that are party to that have these advantages, because it allows Amazon this easier, simpler shipping across the borders. Now, the second program that Amazon affords sellers selling in Europe because of the EU is Pan-European FBA. Now, in this scenario, sellers again can list their products across all those EU marketplaces. But in this case, Amazon actually distributes the inventory to these different countries. So they're not storing all the inventory in one market, like with the EFN, and then shipping out. They rather distribute the inventory. So some of it goes to Germany, some of it to Italy, some to Spain. And then what this allows is for Amazon to offer those customers prime shipping, because that inventory is already stored in Germany for German customers or Italy for Italian customers. So this is another program that the EU affords sellers. So if you're selling in any EU country, you will have these two programs available to you. But in a nutshell, the EU makes selling across those borders really easy. So the second big topic today, what is Brexit and how is it going to impact FBA sellers? While saving you all the political jargon, skipping to what you really want to know, the UK has now left the EU. And that has some consequences because it also means that Amazon UK has now left both those programs we just mentioned. So Amazon UK is no longer a part of the EFN or Pan-European FBA. And this is mainly because shipping across those borders, the free trade, has become more difficult for the UK in terms of the EU. So that's why they have left those programs. But it should be said the EFN and Pan-European FBA are still available for all the other European countries. So if you want to sell, for example, in Germany with your German home marketplace, you can still use those programs out to Spain, Italy, etc. All the European markets except the UK, because that is no longer a part of the EU. And another noteworthy point here is that if you are a non-UK based business, let's say you run a US LLC, for example, or even a German company, but you store inventory in the UK and you do local FBA in the UK. So a UK customer buys your product and it's shipped within the UK from your UK inventory, but you run a non-UK company, as mentioned, like a US LLC. In these cases, Amazon UK is actually going to be collecting and remitting VAT on your behalf. So that's just something to note if you're a non-UK business and you're doing UK FBA specifically. And remember with all of this is we're talking about once your inventory's in Europe, which programs you can use and when. We're not referring to your big inventory shipment. So if you send in inventory from, let's say, a supplier in China into Europe or into the UK, in both those cases, things remain the same. Because remember, those big shipments are always going to go through customs anyway. They already have to pass through the border. So that remains unchanged. We're talking more about the fulfillment of orders once your inventory is actually within that region. And the third big point here is what is the best way to respond to Brexit or to start selling in Europe after Brexit? And I'm going to deal specifically with FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. Remember, that's when you send inventory to them. When a customer buys, Amazon sorts it out for you and they get the products to the customer. So I'm talking about FBA specifically. Well, for FBA sellers, if you want to sell in the UK, so you want to sell to UK customers, you have to send your shipment into a UK fulfillment center. So from supplier to the UK fulfillment center. But if you want to sell in the EU, in the European Union countries, then you have to send that shipment to an EU country, for example, Germany or Spain. You cannot send it to UK because remember, those programs don't exist for the UK anymore to disperse your inventory across the borders. So in a nutshell, if you want to sell in both, you actually have to split up your inventory shipment, and one is going to go to the UK and one is going to go to an EU country. So for example, you could send half your shipment to the UK and half to Germany. So really that's the main difference, is that on your big inventory shipments, you are going to need to separate them if UK is part of your Europe equation, because that border is in a sense more closed from the rest of Europe. Now, if you're already selling in Europe, then you just want to take heed of this to be able to maintain stock levels in both regions, the UK and Europe. And again, you will have to send split shipments, one to each region. But if you're a newer seller, let's say you're just starting selling and you want to begin with Europe, or you're already selling in the US, but you want to expand sales to Europe, where should you start and how should you start? Well, if your focus is FBA, then you need to make an initial decision. Remember, you can always expand later, but what I'm going to recommend is make an initial decision to start either only with the UK or only with the EU. Now, if you start only with the UK, of course, your inventory shipment goes to the UK and you do FBA only to the UK customers. If you choose EU, I would recommend you start with the German marketplace, that's .de, because of the biggest sales volumes in that market. That can be your home market. And remember, in that case, you can still use EFN or Pan-European FBA to the other EU countries, but not to the UK. Now, the main reasoning for that is more on the fiscal VAT front, because now that you're going to store inventory in 2 locations, if you sell in both, you're going to have to register for VAT and other things like that in both. So a good starting decision is choose one, focus on one, build that up, and then you can move to the others. Another kind of benefit of this is you have one inventory shipment to one warehouse to begin. Now, one silver lining to this is that each fulfillment center has its own inventory limit. And you know, for new products right now, you have the 200 unit limit very often, and that actually makes things quite difficult. One benefit to Europe, especially once you expand, or perhaps if you choose the EU first over the UK, is that each Amazon market has its own 200 limit. So that can be a benefit to you as well. And let me know below, if you were starting to sell in Europe tomorrow, would you choose the UK or the EU? Which decision would you make? I hope this video helps you make the necessary changes if you're already selling in Europe, and it should give you some tips and pointers if you're going to begin selling in Europe at this point. And I'm also going to leave you a link below that goes to Amazon itself, and it's going to tell you a bit more about these specific changes. But if you did find this helpful, please drop us a quick like. It means the world to us. Subscribe to the channel and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss our next upload. Hope you guys found this helpful though. I hope you're keeping really well, and I will see you in the next video.